Okay. So in last class, we have seen the resonance phenomena for undamped system. Now we are going to talk something about dynamic magnification factor. So for that, let us quickly recall what we have done till now. So all of us are on one page. So mu double dot plus cu dot plus ku equal to f0 cos lambda t is the harmonically driven system. F0 is the f0 is the amplitude of external load, and lambda is the forcing frequency. Omega is natural frequency, omega d is damped natural frequency. All that in place. So we did solve this mass normalized equation and we got its solution in this format. So I'm not going to go into details of that solution, but we applied initial conditions. U at 0 is u0 and u dot at 0 is u0 dot. After applying those initial conditions, we have got the solution in this format. So u of t is this one, and then we expressed it in this format where c1 cos omega dt plus c2 cos omega dt was replaced by sine of lambda t plus phi. Not c1 cos omega dt, I'm sorry, a cos lambda t plus b sin lambda t was replaced by alpha sin lambda t plus phi, and where we know that this is the transient response. The first term decays as time tends to infinity, so it is transient response. It is going to going to be no longer dominant after a certain time, whereas the second term that we have seen here is the steady state response. Are you with me? So we know very well that as time becomes very large, the response is driven by only second term, and therefore response is harmonic with the same frequency as forcing frequency. However, there is a phase lag. That means whenever the force becomes maximum, there is a lag of phi, after which the response will become maximum. So maxima of force and maxima of response do not occur at the same instant of time. They are separated by phase phi. Are you with me? That's all we have seen, and we have also already seen that the value of A and B can be expressed in terms of system properties uh, as given here. Are you with me? Chalo. So then we plotted this response. All that is done, but we did plot the response in the event of resonance, where we said that lambda approaches omega. What is lambda? Forcing frequency. As forcing frequency approaches the natural frequency of the system, we have found out what is the response. ये हमने किया. But now let us not put any condition on lambda. Let us say the lambda is not necessarily approaching omega, any general value of forcing frequency, and I want to look at the maximum response of the system after certain time. So after certain time का मतलब होता है t is very large. That means the transient component of the response has died down, and I want to look at the steady component of the response and what is the maximum response for a given forcing frequency lambda. That is the question that I have to answer. So what should I do? So limit as t is very large, or in other words, very large का मतलब ये है कि transient component has decayed down, has died down. So in that case, what is the response? That is steady state response. Are you with me? And what is steady state response? Steady state response is alpha sin lambda t plus phi. Are you with me? Now, sin lambda t plus phi, whatever may be the value of t and phi, it is going to fluctuate between plus minus 1. Do you agree with me? So, if I am looking at the maximum response when the steady state has been achieved, what should I look for? I should look for the magnitude of alpha, because the response is going to fluctuate between the values plus alpha and minus alpha. Do you agree with me? So I know what is the maximum response of a harmonically driven system when the steady state has been achieved. The response will fluctuate between plus minus alpha with frequency lambda and with phase phi. Are you with me? That's what I know, and I'm interested now only in the maximum response. So what is the value of alpha? Alpha, we know it is square root of a square plus b square. So we are going to do that. What is square root of a square plus b square? So what is square of omega square minus lambda square into f0, the whole bracket square, plus 2 eta omega lambda f0 whole bracket square divided by this denominator whole bracket square, uska square root. Are you with me? So that's what I'm going to write. This is it. Are you with me? Now you can have a look at numerator. I can take f0 square common. Are you with me? Within the root sign. So f0 square common within the root side, when it comes out, it will be manifested as f0. Happy? So next simplification देखो यहाँ पे सिर्फ f0 लिखा है. Now I have taken the square of remaining terms, but that is not required. I need not take the square. I can simply write it as 2 eta omega lambda square. That is 4 eta square omega square lambda square. Not required. Plus omega square minus lambda square, the whole bracket square, divided by this denominator's square. Do you agree with me? तो ये denominator का square. Oh, I'm sorry. This denominator square. Are you with me? So you can have a look at m square sitting there in the denominator. So when it comes out, it will become m. So what we have f0 upon m. Are you with me? And now you have square of this quantity. So square root of that is omega square minus lambda square whole bracket square plus 2 eta omega lambda square. Are you with me? So denominator का straight away root लिख दिया मैंने. Now, do you acknowledge that the term in square root and this term in denominator are same? Do you acknowledge that? देखो यहाँ पे 2 eta omega lambda square है, that is 4 eta square omega square lambda square. और यहाँ पे omega square minus lambda square whole bracket square, यहाँ पे भी omega square minus lambda square whole bracket square. So it is something like square root of a divided by a. Are you with me? So what is the answer? 1 upon square root of a. So therefore, इसका further simplification क्या होगा? f0 upon m 1 upon square root of 2 eta omega lambda square plus omega square minus lambda square the whole bracket. Happy? Now, I am interested in knowing lambda in relation to omega. So therefore, I am interested in ratio lambda by omega. When lambda by omega tends to 1, it is a phenomena of resonance. When lambda by omega is less than 1, it is sub-resonance phenomena. And when lambda by omega is greater than 1, that means forcing frequency is much more than the natural frequency. It is super resonance phenomena. Are you with me? Sub-resonance, resonance and super resonance can be identified by looking at ratio of forcing frequency to natural frequency. Forcing frequency to natural frequency ratio less than 1, sub-resonance. Forcing frequency to natural frequency equal to 1, resonance. Forcing frequency divided by natural frequency greater than 1, it is super resonance. Are you with me? So therefore, I want to convert this entire thing in terms of ratio of lambda by omega. Are you with me? So I am not going to normalize the denominator with reference to omega. कैसे करने वाले जरा देखो. What I have done, I want to take omega raised to 4 common from the square root. स्क्वायर रूट से अगर मैंने ओमेगा रेस टू 4 कॉमन ले लिया तो बाहर क्या आने वाला है? ओमेगा स्क्वायर. Do you agree with me? So यहाँ पे टर्म देखो क्या बचे? f0 अपॉन m ओमेगा स्क्वायर. ओमेगा स्क्वायर बाहर लिखा, इसका ही मतलब है मैंने स्क्वायर रूट में के जो टर्म्स है उसमें से ओमेगा रेस टू 4 कॉमन निकाला. Are you with me? So अब स्क्वायर रूट के टर्म्स में मैं क्या लिखूं? I will divide each of these terms by omega raised to 4 and whatever remains that I am going to write. Do you agree with me? So इस फर्स्ट टर्म को अगर मैंने ओमेगा रेस टू 4 से डिवाइड किया तो क्या होता है बताओ? दिस इज ओमेगा स्क्वायर divided by omega raised to 4, so 1 upon omega square, so it is lambda square upon omega square, so it is lambda by omega square. Do you agree with me? The moment I take omega raised to 4 common from the first term, what remains inside is 2 eta lambda by omega whole bracket square. Are you with me? Are you able to understand this simplification? Okay. Now, जरा यहाँ पे टर्म देखो, ये ओमेगा स्क्वायर माइनस लैम्डा स्क्वायर का स्क्वायर है. Are you with me? So within this bracket, if I take omega square common, what do I get? 1 minus lambda by omega square. Do you agree with me? And this whole bracket square. ये वाला टर्म ऐसे भी लिखा जा सकता है. Do you agree with me? अब the whole bracket square है. So is it omega raised to 4 1 minus lambda by omega the whole bracket square. Do you agree with me? And I have taken omega raised to 4 common, so I have to divide this term by omega raised to 4. So if I divide this term by omega raised to 4, what remains inside? 1 minus lambda by omega bracket square, the whole bracket square. Are you able to understand the simplification? Mathematical simplification, give it a time to sink in. अगर यहाँ पे नहीं समझा घर जाके करके देखो, ये आने वाला. So therefore f0 m omega square root of 1 upon square root of this quantity. Now denominator is expressed in terms of ratio lambda by omega. You agree with me? Now tell me what is omega square. Omega square is k by m. Root k by m is omega. So omega square is k by m. So I am going to replace this omega square by k by m. The moment I replace it by k by m cancels out and this remains f0 by k. Are you with me? So f0 by k into this bracket. Happy? Now what is f0 by k? If the load would have been statically applied up to f0, whatever is the static response of the system, that is f0 by k. Do you agree with me? So f0 by k is static response. Agreed? What is alpha? Alpha is steady state dynamic response. Do you agree with me? Alpha is maximum steady state. Maximum क्यों बोल रहा हूँ? Because the response is going to fluctuate between plus minus alpha. So it is maximum or amplitude of steady state dynamic response. Maximum amplitude of steady state dynamic response. Do you agree with me? So therefore I am going to call this as maximum steady state dynamic response. So can I now see the maximum of dynamic steady state response is some factor multiplied by static response. Do you agree with me? So that factor is called as dynamic magnification factor. स्टैटिक लोड अप्लाई करने के बजाय जो कि आपने डायनामिक लोड अप्लाई किया है वो भी हार्मोनिक, उसके वजह से जो एम्प्लीफिकेशन होने वाला है, इसके लिए हम इस फैक्टर को बोलते हैं डायनामिक मैग्निफिकेशन फैक्टर. इन अ व्हाइल आई विल प्रूव इट टू यू दैट दिस नेम गिवन इन द लिटरेचर इज इनकरेक्ट. इट शुड नॉट बी कॉल्ड एज डायनामिक मैग्निफिकेशन फैक्टर. लिटरेचर में इसके दो नाम है, एक तो इसको डायनामिक मैग्निफिकेशन फैक्टर बोलते हैं या फिर डायनामिक एम्प्लीफिकेशन फैक्टर बोलते हैं. दोनों का मीनिंग सेम है, बट दैट नेम इज नॉट करेक्ट. वी शुड कॉल इट एज डायनामिक मॉडिफिकेशन फैक्टर इंस्टेड ऑफ कॉलिंग इट एज मैग्निफिकेशन और एम्प्लीफिकेशन फैक्टर. व्हाई? दैट विल बी क्लियर इन ए व्हाइल. अब देखो हम क्या एक्सरसाइज करने वाले हैं. दिस डायनामिक मैग्निफिकेशन फैक्टर, देयरफॉर आई कॉल दिस एज DMF. आर यू विथ मी? DMF is function of what? Tell me, on what does it depend? It depends on eta. It depends on damping. That is the first observation. And it depends upon the ratio of lambda by omega. Happy? So for given value of eta, let us say I am considering RCC structure. So do I know the value of eta? Yes, it is 0.05. So for given value of eta, on what does this dynamic magnification factor depend? It depends only on ratio of forcing frequency to natural frequency. Is it damped natural frequency or is it undamped natural frequency? Undamped natural frequency. So the ratio of forcing frequency to its undamped natural frequency is crucial in deciding the magnitude of dynamic magnification factor. Or in other words, when the system is dynamically loaded by f0 cos lambda t, how many times of its static response will it create will depend upon the ratio lambda by omega for given value of eta. Do you agree with me? So अब हम एक plot draw करने वाले. What is the plot? We are going to plot lambda by omega on x-axis, and we are going to plot dynamic magnification factor on y-axis. So plot of dynamic magnification factor versus lambda by omega. Lambda by omega can be less than 1, sub-resonance zone. Lambda by omega equal to 1, resonance. Lambda by omega greater than 1, super resonance zone. Are you with me? Let us plot that. So I have done that exercise already for you because I wanted to save time. So let us go there. I will show you the plot. So what are we trying to do? I have 3 dynamic magnification factors. If you look at this table carefully, this is the ratio of lambda by omega. Lambda by omega, I have written lambda as h and omega as w. You understand that? Lambda by omega is the ratio of forcing frequency to natural frequency. It is 0, then it is 0.001, it increases till 1, and then the forcing frequency becomes more than the natural frequency. Forcing frequency becomes more than the natural frequency. और ये कहाँ तक लेके गया हूँ मैं 3 तक लेके गया. Are you with me? So forcing frequency is thrice the natural frequency. वो आगे भी जा सकते हैं. I have taken up to this point, and then I am going to calculate dynamic magnification factor. तो डायनामिक मैग्निफिकेशन फैक्टर कैसे कैलकुलेट किया है? To calculate dynamic magnification factor, first of all I have considered eta is equal to 0.03. Are you with me? Eta equal to 0.03. Then here eta is considered to be equal to 0.12. Are you with me? And in this I have considered eta, that is damping, equal to I think 0.2. Are you with me? What is the damping of steel structure? Steel structure के लिए eta की value 0.02 के आसपास रहती है, 2%. For RCC it is 5%. I have taken some value in between, that is eta equal to 0.03. Then second value is eta equal to 0.12. I have increased damping, and then eta is equal to 0.2. And we are going to look at what happens to dynamic magnification factor. What is your first observation? When lambda by omega is 0, what happens to dynamic magnification factor? चलो यहाँ पे देखते हैं इक्वेशन में. I substitute lambda by omega equal to 0. What happens? This is 0 square into 1 minus 0 whole bracket square. It is 1 square, 1. So it remains 1. So when lambda is equal to 0, the maximum response of the system is the static response itself. How? Jara dekho. When I write down the loading as cos of 0t, so what happens to this term? Cos of 0t is always 1, and it is subjected to a constant force F0. Are you with me? Now, what is the transient response when a system is subjected to F0 suddenly? Transient response is twice F0. It oscillates about F0 by K. Transient component dies down, and in the steady state, it approaches value F0 by K. So static response itself. Are you able to interpret the result? When lambda is equal to 0, cos lambda t vanishes, it becomes 1. And it is as if the system is subjected to a step load, Hughes-side step function, F0 into U of 0. It is what it is subjected to. So what is the response of the system to the Hughes-side step function? We already know. It goes to 2 times F0 by K, oscillates about F0 by K. That is the transient component. But anyway, we are looking at the steady state component. What is steady state component? When steady state is reached, that response is F0 by K, which is equal to static response. So we are happy. Dynamic magnification factor is 1 when lambda is 0. Happy? Are you with me? Chalo, ab aage chalte. Now let us look at the plot. What is your observation from this plot? Okay, let us first look here itself. What happens when at what location does this dynamic magnification gains maximum value? What do you think? When will dynamic magnification be maximum? At resonance? That's what we expect. But as it is a damped system and damping plays a role, the maximum dynamic magnification factor, unlike undamped system, doesn't happen at resonance. It happens slightly off resonance, either on subside or on superside. तो कैसे? अब जरा देखो. Have a look at this. Where is the maxima? 1.015. So for this particular damping, eta equal to 0.03, the maxima has occurred somewhere at the value slightly greater than 1. You can have an intermediate value of 1 as well. So let us have it. Okay, so it has occurred at 1, is it? Anyway, it doesn't occur at 1. You will not be able to distinguish between 1 and closer to 1 because the damping is very small. But believe me, let us say this maxima here has occurred at, it appears to have occurred at 1. but it doesn't occur exactly at the resonance, exactly at lambda equal to omega, it doesn't occur. Now, let us look at next system. What is the value of eta? Eta is 0.12. When eta is 0.12, where does the maximum of response occur? Here. Are you with me? That is lambda by omega less than 1. And when eta by omega is 0.2, where does the maximum occur? Lambda by omega is even lesser. So do you understand? Dynamic magnification factor gains maxima at value less than omega, when lambda is less than omega or lambda by omega less than 1, as damping goes on increasing. Damping जैसे जैसे बढ़ते जाता है वैसे वैसे डायनामिक मैग्निफिकेशन का पीक लेफ्ट हैंड साइड में शिफ्ट होता है. It shifts to sub resonance zone. Do you understand that? So that is visible here. You can see that this peak occurs at a value very close to lambda equal to omega or lambda by omega equal to 1. But as the damping goes on increasing, this peak shifts on sub-resonance side, and maxima of or dynamic magnification factor occurs at ratio of lambda by omega less than 1. Are you with me? Okay, that is the second observation. So resonance critical तो है, लेकिन dynamic magnification factor is not always maximum when lambda is equal to omega. For damped system, when the eta is very small, then at lambda close to omega, the dynamic magnification factor becomes maximum. But otherwise, it is on sub-resonance side. That is the first observation. Are you with me? Second observation. Dynamic magnification factor can go as high as 17 as the damping value goes on diminishing. Damping value जैसे जैसे कम होते जाता है, static response से multiple times dynamic response steady state में रहता है. Are you with me? So therefore we are worried about any forcing frequency that goes closer to the natural frequency. वो तो है. Now, one more observation. Has this factor gone from where does this graph start? At lambda by omega 0, this is 1. Are you with me? Has this factor gone down than 1? Yes. कहाँ पे गया है? So we will look at each of these values of eta. So for eta is equal to 0.003, let us look at the ratio of lambda by omega, forcing frequency by natural frequency, at which this value drops below 1. What is that value? 1.44. That means for all forcing frequencies greater than 1.44 times natural frequency, the system is going to respond lesser than its static response when subjected to harmonic load. This is something interesting. Are you with me? Now let us look at eta equal to 0.12. So for eta equal to 0.12, where does this dynamic magnification factor venture below? Just give me a second. Where does it venture below 1? 1.40. So for all values of natural frequency, all values of forcing frequencies greater than 1.405 times omega, the response, dynamic response, is going to be less than static response. Are you with me? What happens for this? 1.327. So even this is shifting on the left hand side. So for any frequency greater than 1.327 times natural frequency, the system is going to respond lesser than its static response. Can we have that feeling intuitively? Yes. As the frequency increases, you are applying the load at very faster rate. Are you with me? You are not giving time to the system to respond, and therefore its response goes even below the static. Are you with me? Now, just focus on the question that I asked you even before we commence the class. Which load is static and which load is dynamic for a structure? Should we look at the change in the load or change in the loading frequency, means frequency of a load and natural frequency, and then should we comment on whether the system is going to behave in a static manner or dynamic manner. I am raising a question. I have not answered the question. I said that I will answer that question only at the end of the course. So first point I want your attention on is forcing frequency in comparison with natural frequency. Is it less than natural frequency? Is it equal to natural frequency, or is it greater than natural frequency? Can we have some zones when the forcing frequency is between this many times natural frequency to this many times natural frequency? Let us say 0.8 times natural frequency to 1.2 times natural frequency. Then dynamic magnification factor is greater than 1. And I can consider system to be responding dynamically. If the frequency lies below 0.8 times natural frequency, or forcing frequency lies above 1.2 times natural frequency, it is as if the system is responding statically. So it responds in a static way. So shall we consider that load as static? I'm just raising a question. Think on it. That may be one of the aspects. So defining a load, whether it is static or dynamic, also has to do something with the intrinsic properties of the system. उसमें से एक एस्पेक्ट मैंने आपको यहाँ पे दिखाया. Are you with me? चलो. Now, why I was insisting to call it as dynamic modification factor, because after these frequencies, after these ratios, when lambda is greater than 0.9 times omega, lambda is greater than 0.92 times omega here, and lambda is greater than lambda is greater than 1.44 times omega, lambda is greater than 1.405 times omega, and lambda is greater than 1.327 times omega, then the magnification factor in fact becomes reduction factor. Are you with me? The response dynamically given is lesser than the static response. Therefore, we should call it as dynamic modification factor rather than calling it as dynamic magnification or amplification factor. Do not accept anything because it is given in books. You have to think. So therefore, better name to this will be dynamic modification factor. Okay. So having said that, now we have given all the required treatment for harmonically driven underdamped single degree of freedom system. And now we are going to venture into a new topic. So now change of topic itself can be taken as a rest in the lecture. So I am not going to give you 5 minutes rest. Next topic is something called as Duhamel integral. Duhamel convolution integral. So before we discuss that, I want to announce one thing. Now Friday, what is your tomorrow schedule? Lecture कौन से रहते हैं? 10:45 to 12:40. And do you have anything in the afternoon? Which practice? TPS. I will check with him whether he is going to conduct it tomorrow or not. I want to conduct a session of problem solving based on syllabus till yesterday. So where we will take the problems and we will solve them, start to end. I want to solve at least 7 to 8 problems based on whatever we have done till yesterday's class. So I will speak with Shinde sir. If he is going to take tomorrow's session, then you have to suggest me the time. I should be free and you should also be free at that time. So somewhere in next week or this Friday, tomorrow, we will conduct this session where we are going to solve 7 problems. What do I expect from you when you come for that session? I want you to revise everything that we have done. Take a notebook, write down formulae for each of the case. That is your list of formulae. I will be picking up the equations from that list. Are you with me? जो हमने सब derive किया है वो derivation बीच का for time being भूल जाओ. उसके end results. So you have to write down governing differential equation of that case, boundary conditions, solution. Are you with me? जो cases derivation के ये सब एक list बना के लाओ. Are you with me? And if possible, maintain that in single page on a PDF and send it on our group so that whenever we are solving the problem, I will be able to project that. Are you with me? I am not going to do that. Means I can give you ready-made list, but then it's better that you have written that on your own. That is one kind of a practice. Are you with me? So let us do that. Now let us go to Duhamel convolution integral. Now name seems to be mathematical, but what is the problem that we are going to look at? So zara dekho, we are trying to solve this kind of problem. We have a single degree of freedom system in our hand, and you know very well that single degree of freedom system koi khayali pulav nahi hai. I have shown you the example of a water tank which can be converted into a single degree of freedom system. Are you with me? So it is a real life system which has stiffness K, which has damping coefficient C, mass M, and now it is subjected to f of t, which is arbitrary in nature. F of t can be anything, general loading. Are you with me? It can be a Dirac delta function, it can be a Heaviside step function, it can be a sinusoidal function, it matlab harmonic function, it can be a cos wave which is also a harmonic function, it can be a earthquake signature. So it can be as erratic as an earthquake signature. For example, so therefore I am going to show f of t as any random load. Are you with me? It is something like this. What do I mean by random load? It cannot be readily expressed as a function. It cannot be expressed as a cos lambda t. No, it is random. However, I can always decompose. I can always take its fast Fourier transform in MATLAB and I can express it as combination of sine and cos series. You know, Dirichlet's conditions जब satisfy करता है ये function, we can always decompose using Fourier transform. This function can be decomposed as summation of sine and cos series. I hope you know that. अगर नहीं पता है तो भी at least इतना पता है तो चलेगा. Means I am not going to ask you to take the Fourier transform. No. But in principle, I know that this function can be expressed as an sine a1t plus bn sine b2t summation n running from 1 to infinity. ये हमें पता है. As long as this function satisfies something called as Dirichlet's conditions. So we say that it satisfies and we can do that. However, I am not going to use Fourier series and I am not going to decompose this function into combination of sine and cos functions for which we already know the response. ऐसे करने के बजाय, now I am going to consider this function to be made up of train of impulses. What do I mean by train of impulses? तो जरा यहाँ पे ध्यान दो. This is time t and this is the magnitude of force at time t. So f as a function of time. Do you agree with me? Now at time t, let me consider a infinitesimally small instant of time. Instant का मतलब होता है at that moment. So that dt is tending to 0. So I am considering a infinitesimally small time duration and I am going to call it as dt. Are you with me? How small dt should be? Tell me. Infinitesimally small. Matlab mathematician will say that dt should tend to 0. Are you with me? But as a physicist, how small dt should be? dt should be so small over which I can assume f of t to be constant. समझ में आ रहा है? dt इतना छोटा होना चाहिए कि इसके ऊपर I can assume that f of t does not vary much. Are you with me? And now, if f of t is a constant function, then dt can be as large as the entire time duration. Are you with me? If f of t is a fast varying function, then dt needs to be small such that over which I can idealize f of t to be constant. Are you with me? This is the physical interpretation of dt's smallness. So now, in this instant, in this duration of time, what is the ordinate of force that is acting on this mass? It is f of t. Are you with me? And now, can you tell me what is the impulse of this force during this time dt? How do we define impulse? Impulse is defined as the product of force multiplied by the duration in which it was acting on the system. As f of t is constant, therefore I can write this instant as f of t dt, constant over dt. Therefore I can write it as f of t into dt. Mind you, it is not f into t, it is f of t. T is the argument. F is function of time. F of t multiplied by dt is the impulse. Do you agree with me? Achha. Now, are you aware of, are you equipped with response of this single degree of freedom system to a unit impulse direct delta function which arrives at time tau. Time tau पे arrive होता है. Observation started from time t equal to 0. The unit impulse was delivered to the system at time tau. Can you tell me what is the response of this system to the impulse at time t? So I call it as h of t minus tau. Are you with me? And this is nothing but impulse response function. That means u of t in a way I am writing down. And it is at impulse has been arrived at time t minus tau. तो ये response में क्या लिखूं इसका बोलो. H of t minus tau is the response of the system to a unit impulse that arrives at time tau. Have we found out the expression? Yes. 1 upon m omega d, not 1 upon, here e raised to minus eta omega t 1 upon m omega d sine of omega dt. Did you forget? देखो ये expression है. So when the system is subjected, and mind you this t is to be replaced by t minus tau. I'm sorry. So it is t minus tau, and यहाँ पे भी instead of t I am going to write it as omega d t minus tau. Can you cross verify? कौन से लेक्चर में किया था हमने? लेट मी चेक. इम्पल्स रिस्पांस चौथे या पांचवें लेक्चर में होगा. लेट मी वेरीफाई. नो, 9th लेक्चर. नहीं नहीं इतना लेट. 5th lecture, let me see. Yes, I think this is the lecture. देखो, this is impulse delivered at time tau. Are you with me? So impulse has been delivered at time tau, and what is the response of the system that we had derived? 1 upon m omega d sin omega dt t star है e raised to minus eta omega t star. So क्या गलती की है मैंने वो करेक्ट करते हैं. सही है. e raised to minus eta omega t minus tau because t star is t minus tau. Are you with me? T star is t minus tau. So e raised to minus eta omega t minus tau 1 upon m omega d sin omega d t star is t minus tau. So that's what I have written. Have I convinced you that this the same thing I am writing? Only thing is instead of calling it as u of t minus tau, I am calling it as h of t minus. It is a question of notation. It's all right. It is impulse response function. Are you with me? This we call it as impulse response function. If the system delivers a response of h of t minus tau to a impulse at tau, what is the response of the system to the impulse f of t dt? f of t dt को क्या रिस्पॉन्स होगा बताओ. Now to put the things in perspective, what I am going to do is instead of taking this f of t at time t, I am going to take it at time t equal to tau. Are you with me? And instead of calling it as dt, I am going to call it as d tau. Are you with me? How small d tau should be? D tau should be so small over which I can idealize f of t to be constant. What is the impulse that this f of t delivers in this duration d tau? It will be f of t, sorry, f of tau. This is f of tau. Are you with me? F of tau d tau. Do you agree with me? This is the impulse delivered at time instant t equal to tau. Happy? Instead of delivering a unit impulse, you have now derived the impulse equal to f of t into d tau. So what is going to be the response of the system? Unit impulse के लिए इतना, तो इतने impulse के लिए this multiplied by the impulse response function. Do you agree with me? So the impulse that is received by the system at time tau corresponds at time t I want to compute. So this is time t at which I want to compute the response of the system. इसके वजह से forget about all load ordinates. Only due to the impulse which was delivered at time tau less than t, उसके वजह से at time t what is the response of the system, ये मुझे अगर कैलकुलेट करना है, उसका एक्सप्रेशन मेरे पास रेडीली अवेलेबल है. What is the response? Can you tell me? It is e raised to minus eta omega t minus tau. T minus tau has to be positive, and it is the case. I am considering t here. At that time, I want the response due to f of tau d tau. Are you with me? So unit impulse का response क्या है? E raised to minus eta omega t minus tau upon m omega d, happy, into sine of omega d t minus tau. This is the response to the unit impulse. So what will be the response to impulse equal to f tau d tau? Multiply this by f tau, f of tau d tau. Mind you, it is not multiplication of f and tau. It is f as a function of tau. Are you with me? Now, so f at t equal to tau. That's what f of tau means. Happy? Now, up to time t, how many such impulses have arrived? Infinite, because I can consider this to be one impulse, then this to be another impulse, this to be next impulse, so on and so. So can I idealize all the lower ordinates from 0 to t as train of impulses with varying magnitudes? Are you with me? And now, how do I find out the response at time t of the system due to all such trains of impulses before time t equal to t? क्या करना पड़ेगा? I will need to integrate this quantity. Are you with me? Where tau now varies from 0 to t. Are you with me? Tau varies from 0 to t. Tau equal to 0 means the first impulse. Tau equal to 0 plus second impulse. Tau equal to t last impulse up to time t. Are you with me? इन सारे impulses का response time t में क्या है? उनकी addition मतलब integration. Are you with me? Whenever you see the incremental quantity, I said for physical interpretation you need to have integration. Integration is pending. आपको ये समझना है. Whenever in any expression you see quantities like d tau, you have to understand for physical interpretation integration is pending. So can I write this as u of t? Yes. Now f of t can be anything. I am in a position, I have advanced algorithms to evaluate this integration numerically. समझ में आ रहा है? f of t को exact function wise express करने की जरूरत नहीं है. You give me the discretized data of f of t. मतलब you give me a table at time 0, 0.01 second, 0.2 second, 0.3 second, you have f of t equal to this. I can do this integration numerically. तो f of t function जैसा ही चाहिए, ये डिमांड है ही नहीं अभी. We have advanced algorithms where we can have numerical integrations. However, if f of t can be expressed as a function of time, then also you can do the integration by standard formula. वो भी ठीक. Are you with me? So it is most generalized expression for any kind of load. This load can be anything now. Are you with me? You have to do this integration. to get response of the system to that loading at time t, and this time t is general. So at every instant of time you need to evaluate this integration. Is it indefinite integration or definite integration? Definite integration. And for a given value of t, it is definite integration. So it will not have constant of integration. Are you with me? तो ये integration आपने solve किया तो काम हो गया. Are you with me? This integration therefore we call it as Duhamel's integral. क्या बोलेंगे इसको? Duhamel's. I have not said anything about the convolution. It is called as Duhamel's integration. What does Duhamel's integration do? It divides the arbitrarily given load into train of impulses, and it gives you the response of the system at time t due to summation of responses of train of impulses up to time t. जैसे मैंने एक प्रॉब्लम आपको सॉल्व करके दिखाया था. Fixed end moment due to point load placed on a beam is PAB square upon L square, where A is the nearer distance, B is the farther distance. And so arbitrary loading के लिए हम fixed end moment कैसे निकालते हैं? Integration. We divide that load into n number of point loads and we integrate. हर एक के वजह से, हर एक point load के वजह से आने वाला fixed end moment उनको add करते जाते हैं and we get the fixed end moment due to arbitrary load. वही यहाँ पे कर रहे हैं. Instead of calling it as a point load now, we are calling it as a impulse. Are you with me? And we recognize any complex fashion load as train of impulses. And we already know the impulse response function. Unit impulse का response पता है. उसको ही extrapolate करके हम किसी भी arbitrary load के लिए at time t we derive the response of single degree of freedom system. Are you with me? This integration therefore is called as Duhamel's integral. Why the name and all you can read. You are mature enough to go to the stories and read it. But it is called as Duhamel's integral. Question: why did I write convolution integral? Because when I write this response, this Duhamel integration takes form of a very famous integration which has been already solved in the mathematics, and that is called as convolution. So what is convolution? तो convolution integration का form कैसे रहता है मैं आपको बताता हूँ. If you are integrating from 0 to t, f of t into g of t minus tau d tau. This integration by definition, this form by definition is called as convolution. Are you with me? क्या बोलेंगे इसको? Convolution. Why do we call it as convolution? Again, I leave it to you. It has to do something. It is something similar to cross product and dot product of vectors. There are also cross products in integration. इस convolution integral को हम cross product जैसा ही denote करते हैं. We call it as f of t cross g of t minus tau. Why do we do that? वो सब theory you are free to read. You can go and you can satisfy yourself by reading this. But this is called as, this form is called as convolution integral. And do you see that Duhamel integral has manifested itself in the form of convolution, where f of t is now f of tau. Are you with me? And g of t I'm sorry, it is not f of t, it is f of tau. So f of tau is f of tau here, and g of t minus tau is e raised to minus eta omega t minus tau upon m omega d sin omega d into t minus tau. Are you with me? Now we are going to now use this convolution integral to evaluate responses of the system to the loads for which we have evaluated the response using traditional methods. जैसे क्या हमने ह्यू साइड स्टेप फंक्शन का रिस्पांस ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से निकाला था? Do you remember that? Can I find out that response using convolution integral? Answer is yes. कैसे? That's what we are going to do next in the next class. Are you with me? But have you understood the importance of Duhamel integral or importance of impulse response function? So impulse, though it is physically not possible to deliver force in almost zero time, physically possible nahi hai, but it can be modeled as a quantity which estimates the response of the system to any arbitrary load once integration is performed. समझ में आ रहा है? Point load जैसा ही इसका अहमियत है डायनामिक्स में. Happy? Okay. Now we are going to deal with the last portion. Today we are going to learn various pieces in dynamics. एक ही चीज के ऊपर हम डिस्कशन नहीं कर रहे. We are switching topics, but that is important. So next class में हमें क्या करना है, जो हमने cos lambda t, f0 cos lambda t, harmonic load, then direct delta function and Heaviside step function. इन तीनों के लिए जो हमने based on the first principles responses calculate किए थे, वही responses we will calculate using this convolution or Duhamel's integral, and you will see that it becomes very easy if you use Duhamel's integral instead of using first principle. ये हम नेक्स्ट क्लास में देखेंगे. राइट नाउ वी आर नाउ डिस्कसिंग समथिंग अबाउट एस्टिमेशन ऑफ एक्सपेरिमेंटल एस्टिमेशन ऑफ ए डैम्पिंग. दिस इज द लास्ट पार्ट फॉर टुडेज डिस्कशन. सो एक्सपेरिमेंटल estimation of viscous damping. Intentionally लिख रहा हूं viscous damping because if the system is not having viscous damping, कौन से भी experiment perform करो, you will not be able to estimate. Are you with me? So I am assuming that we are dealing with the systems which do obey viscous damping, and we are now going to discuss experimental method of estimation of viscous damping. Are you with me? किसके लिए? सिर्फ SDOF system. I am now talking about only SDOF system. We are not yet into multi-degree of freedom system. Multi-degree of freedom system is extension of SDOF system. But अभी हम किसकी बात कर रहे हैं? सिर्फ SDOF system. Are you with me? चलो. Now, if you pluck a single degree of freedom system from its mean position and if you leave it, what kind of response do you expect? कौन से तरीके का response आता है? बोलो. Yes, so let us say I have plucked it from the initial position u0, then you are going to see this kind of response. Do you agree with me? Happy? ये response आएगा. And do you agree with me that this function is a decaying function? Happy? And do you agree with me? The maxima, if it occurs here, the next maxima is going to occur at this location. These two are separated by what distance in timeline? ओमेगा डी. ये रिस्पांस कौन सा रिस्पांस मैंने प्लॉट किया? ई रेज टू माइनस थीटा ओमेगा टी, एंड देन C1 cos omega dt. This is the response of the system. Do you agree with me? So this is omega dt plus or minus 1 के बीच में oscillate होगा. So if the first peak occurs at time 0, next peak will occur at what time? इन दो टाइम में डिफरेंस क्या है? ओमेगा डी इज द सर्कुलर फ्रीक्वेंसी. सो करस्पॉन्डिंग टू दैट, व्हाट इज द फ्रीक्वेंसी इन हर्ट्ज? ओमेगा डी into 2 pi. Do you agree with me? What is if this is the frequency in hertz, that means in time 2 pi omega d, one oscillation will be complete. Do you agree with me? Or it completes 2 pi omega d oscillations in 1 second. Are you with me? तो इन दोनों के बीच में अब गैप क्या? इनवर्स ऑफ फ्रीक्वेंसी. वन ऑसिलेशन के लिए कितना टाइम लगेगा? यहाँ पे 1/2 pi omega d. Do you agree with me? So two peaks will be at a distance 2 pi omega d. Do you agree with me? If I want to talk about 3 peaks, मतलब first peak, then skip the next one, next to that, so तीसरा peak है, उनके बीच में कितना डिस्टेंस होगा? बोलो. This is one oscillation. This is second oscillation. Are you with me? So therefore, this distance will be 2 upon 2 pi omega d. Do you agree with me? Now let me draw the third peak. This is first, second peak, third peak, fourth peak, something like this. So what is the difference between the first peak and fourth peak? How much will be this time? 3 by 2 pi omega d. Are you with me? If it is the nth peak, what will be the distance? N upon, will it be n or will it be n minus 1? N minus 1 है ना. The first peak and second peak, इसमें ये difference है. Then you have 3 peaks, तो 2 है. 4 peaks 3, fifth peak, so क्या होगा n minus 1. So nth peak अगर रहेगा तो distance क्या रहेगा? n minus 1 upon 2 pi omega d. Are you with me? This is the first observation that we are going to make on this signal. Now, if I call this as T1 and nth peak as Tn, क्या कह रहा हूं? I am calling first peak to occur at time T1 and nth peak occurs at time Tn. Can you tell me what is the amplitude of that peak at T1 and Tn? कैसे find out करेंगे हम amplitude? The moment I say the peak occurs, that means cos omega dt would have assumed the value plus 1. Do you agree with me? So cos omega dt must assume value equal to plus 1 at all these locations T1, T2, T3, T4, T5 up to Tn. Do you agree with me? Then only there is maximum. Maxima कब होगा इस फंक्शन का? Only and only when cos omega dt is equal to 1. शिंदे सर आने के बाद बता रहा हूँ. When cos omega dt is equal to 1. Do you agree with me? So even at T1 and Tn, at both locations, cos omega dt is going to be equal to 1. Do you know what is the value of this C1? हाँ हमने कैलकुलेट की है. क्या वैल्यू होती है? U0. Do you agree with me? So the response of the system is e raised to minus eta omega t U0 cos omega t. Happy? Now tell me what will be the value of the peak at time t1, amplitude of the peak at time t1. That amplitude I am going to call it as a1. Happy? And amplitude at the nth peak I am going to call it as an. Happy? Can you tell me how much is a1? E raised to minus eta omega t1. Happy? What is a2? E raised to minus eta omega tn. I'm sorry, an. Are you with me? What is the relationship between T1 and Tn? T1 is equal to, Tn is equal to T1 plus n minus 1 times 2 upon, n minus 1 times 1 upon 2 pi omega d. Are you able to understand this? वो इसीलिए मैंने ये आपको करके दिखाया. n minus 1 upon 2 pi omega dt. Omega d is the difference between T1 and Tn. Are you with me? So can I write T1 plus n minus 1 upon 2 pi omega d is equal to an, is equal to Tn. Can I substitute that here? So what happens to an? Tell me. An is equal to e raised to minus eta omega T1 plus n minus 1 divided by 2 pi omega d. Happy? Now, Can I further simplify this? Yes, it is e raised to minus eta omega t1 into e raised to minus eta omega n minus 1 upon 2 pi omega d. Yes, do you agree with me? चलो अब जरा मुझे बताओ, if I take ratio of an by a1, what do I get? E raised to minus eta omega t1, e raised to minus eta omega t1, they will cancel. Are you with me? And what is the ratio that I obtained? It is e raised to minus eta omega n minus 1 divided by 2 pi omega d. Do you agree with me? Now if I take logarithm of this ratio to the base e, natural logarithm of this ratio, what do I get? Log to the base e an upon a1 is equal to log to the base e of this quantity, but it is e raised to something, so that comes here, and log to the base e of e. 1 minute, sir. Log to the base e of e is 1. You agree with me? So what do I get? I get it as minus eta omega n minus 1 divided by 2 pi omega d. Are you with me? It is a constant. Do you agree with me? Therefore, we call that in this system, the decrement in the amplitude of response is logarithmic. Therefore, we call this as logarithmic decrement. Are you with me? And how do we use this expression to experimentally find out the value of eta and see? We will see that in the next class. Are you with me? So let us stop here. But have you understood the concept of logarithmic decrement? Okay. So let us stop here. Put your attendance in the same link.